Hi, welcome to It's Not About the Hair online series. My name is Valerie Fuentes. I am your host, and today I am with Christal Malcolm. She's joining us from Canada, and I had the pleasure to collaborate with Christal earlier, not earlier, like last year, end of 2020. We did 12 days of alopecia support. And yeah, I just loved what Crystal's doing out in the world. And I wanted to invite her here today to share more of that with you guys. So Crystal, welcome. And thank you for saying yes to my invitation.
Thank you for having me.
So for those that don't know you, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I live in Toronto, Ontario, born and raised. I've been diagnosed with scarring alopecia. I've had alopecia for over 20 years. Highs and lows with regards to that. It's been quite a journey, but a blessing in disguise nonetheless. I'm also a board member for the Canadian Alopecia Areata Foundation, which also stands for CANAF. I joined the board July of last year, and I'm a secretary on the board. And I also, for the last, I'm going to say almost 13 years, I've been a secretary or administrative assistant rather to the chief of surgery and director of surgery at a downtown hospital in Toronto. So, yeah.
I love that. That's amazing. So I love what you're doing with CANAF, right? Like you decided you went to, I think, tell us a little bit about the story, but I think how it goes, you share a little bit with me, is that you went to a support group meeting and you decided, you know what, I want to do more. And here we are. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that.
So I actually found CANF by fluke. I've been suffering with my hair loss for a long time by myself. As much as I had like that family and communal support, I just felt like I needed to find people that looked like me, that understood my hair loss journey, and I wanted to have a safe space where I could talk about it. And I came across CANF and I joined one of their support groups and I absolutely fell in love. And it was in that support group that I realized I wanted to do more. I didn't want to just be a participant, I actually wanted to be a member. So I submitted an application to be a volunteer. And because I have such a heavy administrative background, they actually asked if I would be the secretary to the board, which was a complete shock and surprise, but such a blessing because in being a secretary, I'm able to understand what they do, how they advocate for people within the community and that sort of thing. So, and they're doing so many amazing things. Like we have so many special projects coming out. So it's such a blessing to be a part of something like this. And I would have never thought that being a part of CANF would have been something that would have happened to me considering my hair loss journey. And I've been so sheltered and so mum about the issue because I was ashamed and scared and embarrassed. Do you know what I mean? So it's definitely a blessing to be a part of a group that offers awareness, education. You know, we raise funds for research. We have what's called the Heads Up Fund where we offer financial assistance to those looking to purchase a hairpiece. Like they're doing some amazing things, you know, and we have like support groups in Ontario, Nova Scotia, British Columbia, Edmonton. We have members in all 10 provinces. Like it's incredible. It's like Canadian wide, you know what I mean? Like it's pretty cool. So
That is amazing. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to have you here today, because last time on my my first summit ever, actually, we interviewed somebody from NAF, which is the National Alopecia Areata Foundation here in the States. And I want to get in touch with all the organizations around the world so people get to know them, right? We don't know. I know a lot of women in the hair loss community that are from Canada, but they might not even know about CANAF, right? So I love that you're here sharing with us what you guys are doing. So what would be the best place for them to find out more about CANAF and how they can contribute and how they can join the community?
Well, they can definitely check out the website. So it's www.canaaf.org. We're also on Instagram. Our handle is at CANAF. So there's tons of information. We have a calendar on there with upcoming events and education and that sort of thing. We have a lot of guest speakers from the medical community that discuss alopecia and how to cope with it and upcoming research and that sort of thing. And we always list the upcoming support groups. So we have a children's support group, we have a teen support group, we have an adult support group, like, you know what I mean? So all the information is on the website, on the calendar. And there's also information about all of us, like each board member and our little story, you know? So yeah.
That's great. And I'm assuming all the groups you're doing now online.
Yes, everything's virtual. Toronto is still under a stay-at-home order due to the pandemic, and they just actually extended it till I think the second week of March. I'm not even sure anymore. So everything's being done online for sure.
Okay, perfect. Well, that's actually a great transition to another question I wanted to ask is what has been the greatest lesson that you've learned in this pandemic?
Oh my goodness. There's so many things.
Right. It has been life-changing here for sure.
There's been a lot of changes. You know what? The pandemic has definitely been an emotional roller coaster because I enjoy fellowshipping with people. I like being around people. I feed off of people's energy. So to now have to do things via Zoom or Microsoft Teams has been a huge adjustment because you feed off of people's energy. You know what I mean? So I think for me, it's been about having to be kind to myself and be a little bit more compassionate. But there has been a blessing because I've been able to reach out to more people because now we're all online because we don't have a choice. So the reach is easier because we're all online. Do you know what I mean? And a lot of people are jumping on Instagram now looking for that support and that connection. So as much as the pandemic sucks for all of us, it has been a blessing in disguise because for me, it's been more communal because I'm able to reach people more online. So, you know, it has its pros and its cons.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. I started doing online events last year.
Yeah.
And I wanted to have an impact in my community. And I was thinking, oh, you know, like I'll reach out to women here in South Florida.
Yeah.
And my first event, 800 people attended from all over the world. There were like 7 different countries.
That's incredible.
And, yeah, I was mind blown. I didn't know that was going to be the impact of the event, but because the first event was in last week of February, first week of March, when we all pretty much went into lockdown.
Yeah.
And I think we were all craving that community. And I feel like the hair loss community has only gotten stronger and bigger through the pandemic, right? Because we just need that connection so much.
Absolutely. It's so true. And, you know, a lot of people, I want to say, have been feeling isolated. Let's be honest, right? Because you can't really leave your house. And if you do leave your house, it's such a production to do so. Yeah. So where do you go to find that connection? Where do you go to find somebody that looks like you and I? Do you know what I mean? You're going to go online where everybody is because everybody's home. Yeah. So, yeah.
So, Christal, I know just like me, you started losing your hair about 20 years ago. For me, it's been also half of my life, about 18. At what point did you decide, you know what, I'm not hiding anymore. I'm going to start speaking about this. I want to advocate for this. Like, what was the thing that made you want to come out and start talking about it?
To be completely frank, I got fed up. I got fed up because I had been hiding for 20-something years. And I cannot tell you the emotional roller coaster I've been on, especially with the type of alopecia that I've experienced. I've had flare-ups. I've had a bleeding scalp. My scalp has itched to the point where I would literally, and I've shared this with you before, that I would scratch my head against a wall because it was so painful. And I was doing this alone. And even though my mom and, you know, my partner and my friends, they were rooting for me, they were like my biggest cheerleaders. When you're in your bed at night and it's that alone time, that's when you really realize how isolating this is and the emotional impact. And I got so tired, and this is going to sound crazy, but I honestly thought I was the only person in Toronto, being a Black woman, that had no hair. And that is like the craziest thing ever, but that's how I felt. And it was such a dark place for me. And I was like, you know what? I can't live like this anymore. So I only came out last year. Like, I started an Instagram page last year, and I was telling you, like, if you look at my feed from the beginning, it was just food.
Right.
I felt like I was still hiding. And then I just one day put a picture of me without my hair, and I was literally sick to my stomach because I didn't know how people were going to react. I mean, a couple people at work who are close to me knew that I was suffering from hair loss, but I don't think they knew the extent of it. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I just said, go big or go home at this point,
Yeah.
because what else do I have to lose? I already lost my hair, and I can't allow my hair to run me anymore. Like, I want to run me, not my hair.
Yes, I love that.
You know?
And
So
so now that you say that, that's actually one of the intentions of the summit.
yeah,
I said, who runs your world, right? Because that's the question that I have for everyone is who
absolutely.
runs your world? Because for years, it was my hair that ran my world, and I'm done, right? I'm so done. And the invitation from the summit is let's stop that. Like, this gets to stop right here. No more letting our hair run our life. We run our life. So I absolutely love that message. Christal, so what's next for you? Because I know that, you're going to, I'm assuming you're staying with Canaf for a little bit longer. As a leader in this community, what would you love to see?
Oh my goodness. I just want to see us just totally rock this hair loss community and let this be a beauty standard. Because as you know, I find the beauty standard is so, if I can say it, it's jaded. Like, you have little girls that have alopecia, and yet the media tells us what's beautiful is big, flowy, long, luscious hair. Well, I can go buy that, sure.
Yeah.
But not everybody wants to wear a wig, and not everybody wants to feel that they have to hide who they are and put on this fake persona just because society says that that's what the norm is. So
Mm-hmm.
I really want alopecia to be a part of like that standardized form of beauty, because we are bald, we are beautiful, and we need
Mm-hmm.
to own it,
Mm-hmm.
and sadly there are people within society who still don't understand it, who still think it's funny, who still do bald pranks,
I
which
know.
is so heartbreaking. And I really want to like just knock down those barriers. So I
Yeah.
think the more that we come together as a community, as in a group of men and women, we definitely can change the standard, and we can definitely change how people view alopecia and what we represent, because everybody has a story. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I love that you went there because that right now, as you know, because I'm sure you've heard about this, there have been a lot of pranks and a lot of YouTubers coming out as bold, and thinking it's funny. So I want to know, how has this impacted you? Like, what did you feel? Because like the first time it happened, I was really upset,
Yeah.
and I've been processing, little by little, and I still think that everybody gets to do whatever they seem right, but you have to be respectful. And what has happened is not respectful at all. It's hurtful, and not
There's
only for us. If it's hurtful for us adults, imagine for a child with alopecia that
that's
doesn't have
the
the strength. Yeah.
that's the thing. Like, I cried. Like, and I cringed when I saw James Charles' recent video. I was very angry. I was actually mortified.
Mhm.
Um, our hair loss is not clickbait.
Mhm.
Our hair loss is not clout, and our hair loss is not something to be mocked. Do you know what I mean? And I was angry, and I'm still angry, because everybody has a story. And for me, I had hair, and I literally woke up and I looked like this, and there was no rhyme or reason to it. I've gone to dermatologists trying to figure out what was wrong, and it is just heartbreaking that there's a lack of empathy. Do you know what I mean? Like, this, my hair loss is not a joke. And
Yeah.
I actually had people reach out to me and say, how do you cope? Where do I buy a wig? Is there somewhere that you can recommend that I get a scarf? Like, this is our everyday reality.
Mhm.
And it really upsets me when I see people mocking it, laughing at it. And I think what's even more hurtful, Valerie, is the reactions. Oh my gosh, you look so ugly. Oh my goodness, why would you do that? Like, imagine me walking down the street and somebody saying that to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't know my story. You don't know where I come from. Like, I just feel like there's a lack of compassion, and it just seems it seems more of a mockery,
Absolutely.
because the alopecia community affects everybody. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care what color you are. It doesn't care what race you are. It doesn't care about your age. It can strike at any moment. And that's what people don't understand. And it just makes, I'm getting riled up just talking about it.
No,
So
I love everything you're saying, because I do believe that we have to be responsible of our words and our actions. And
absolutely.
people that have millions of followers, which is the case of these two people that have come out with the pranks, as if you have if you know that millions of people are watching, use your platform for good, right? Use your platform to create change, to create transformation, to move the society forward, not to mock people and hurt everybody's feelings, right? Like, this could be like alopecia, you know, I'm at a point of acceptance right now, but it's a very traumatic experience. And for people that are at the beginning, right, this is so hurtful.
Exactly. Because like you said, you're at that acceptance stage. Not everybody's there yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've embraced it. I think I'm beautiful. I have self-confidence, but there are parts of me where I wake up in the morning and I'm experiencing a flare-up, and it takes me back to that place of sadness and frustration and the why me. And that's where I have to do a lot of self-talk. That's where I have to remind myself about self-love and how far I've come. So when you see pranks and stuff like that, they don't know the behind the scenes. And if you have a platform of like millions of people, why don't you say to yourself, you know what? I want to know what it's like to be bald for a day. While I can't fully understand, let me reach out to some people in the community and talk to them. And let me use my platform for positivity. Let me use my platform for body positivity and educate the millions of people to say, you know what? I'm a beauty guru. You know, there's a certain standard of beauty, but let's expand that, because there's a whole community out there of people who suffer from hair loss, and this is their everyday. Do you know what I mean? Like all those people in his video that were laughing and that sort of thing, he could have used that as an opportunity to say, hey guys, guess what? This is a form of alopecia, and this is what it is. There's different types of alopecia, but you didn't do that. Nope. So now you're basically setting us backwards, and now it's almost like you're forcing our hand to have to now really, not that we're not advocating for ourselves and standing up for ourselves, but now we have to be really loud and strong. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? As a community.
Right.
So.
Right. And this is exactly why I will never stop doing these events.
Absolutely.
I will never stop doing interviews and putting myself out there, because it's going to take a village, right? It's not going to be Valerie. It's not going to be Christal. It's going to take millions of people standing up, sharing the message on a daily basis, right? Like the only way that we're going to change the standard, the only way we're going to break the stigma is to talk about this every single day.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it's really about just having empathy and compassion, you know, like this is our lives. This is not a joke. This is not something to be mocked. And there are some of us who are just going through the process of losing their hair and don't know where to turn, that maybe don't know about CANF or NAF, or do you know what I mean? And they're just trying to navigate through this. And sometimes they're navigating it through it by themselves, like what I was doing for like 10, 20 years. Do you know what I mean? So, and then imagine how someone like that must feel when they see a prank.
Yeah. Christal, so I want to know about your day to day. Are you currently wearing hair, or are you not wearing hair at all?
So for work, I actually still wear a wig. I still wear headscarves and head wraps and that sort of thing. And that's also about confidence. I'm still working on being confident enough to go to work without my hair. But I mean, like I said, a lot of my colleagues know about it and they're very respectful. And it's one of those things where when I'm ready to take it to that next level, I will be. But on my day-to-day, if I'm home or if I have to run an errand, I actually will not wear a wig. And that's a huge thing for me, because before I would always have to wear like a baseball hat, a beanie, a wig, or a headscarf, some sort of covering. But now I'm okay with going out in public without a wig. And then some days I just want long hair and I'll put a wig on, you know? So it just depends on my mood.
Yeah.
But
I'm having one of those days. Yeah,
It looks
but I'm changing it a lot lately, which is pretty cool. I'm having a lot of fun with
yeah.
showing long and all the things. So, okay, so I would love to know.
Yes.
Uh, we talked on Christmas. We were talking about Christmas, about like the holidays and all that. Now, for this event, the theme is it's not about the hair. You're strong, you're sexy, you're powerful, with or without hair. So, what is it like? What do you do to feel sexy, strong, and powerful?
Well, first I have a bold lipstick. That helps. To be honest with you, for me, I'm always working on the external as well as the internal. So externally, there's diet, there's exercise, there's meditation, there's sleep. Those are things that I do to help with my confidence. In terms of internally, I've had to dig very, very deep. So there's a lot of self-talk. So instead of saying I can't do something, I say that I can, and how am I going to do it? You know, like you have to talk to yourself every single day. And another thing that I do is I don't compare myself anymore, because you cannot compare your beginning to somebody else's end or middle. And that's something that I used to do, because I used to feel like I was a failure if I didn't speak to somebody looking like this. You know, I felt like maybe I was a coward, or I was hiding, or I wasn't being authentic if I had my wig on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's not true. You know, everybody walks through this differently. I also created boundaries, and I've had to let quite a few people go that were not creating positivity around me. I don't need negative energy, and I think it's very important to learn when to say no. So I've had to do that, and also to be kind to myself and to forgive myself, and letting go of the past and moving forward. Do you know what I mean? And also learning how to embrace those feelings when they come, like of self-doubt. And it's okay to embrace it, but I'm not going to dwell on it anymore. You know what? Like, I hear you, I know you're there, but you're not part of this conversation right now. You know, like today's a good day, you know? So it's definitely making yourself the priority has been what's boosted my confidence and has taken me out of that space of feeling like I'm not worthy. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree with that feeling of not feeling authentic sometimes.
Yeah.
I struggle a lot with that when people will come up to me and said, "Oh, Val, your hair looks great." So at the beginning, I really wanted to say, "Yeah, it's a wig or it's a topper, and I don't have hair or I have alopecia." And like I felt this need to communicate that a lot. And then I realized, well, this is my story, and I don't owe my story to anybody, right?
Yeah.
I only have to share with whoever I'm comfortable with and whoever I want to connect with. So it took me some time to get used to just saying, thank you. Thank you. This is, love your hair. Thank you. That's it. Because we don't owe that explanation to anybody. And then the next step from that, so like you said, first is, setting boundaries of being able to say no, not oversharing, right? Because oversharing doesn't necessarily mean connection. Sometimes people are not ready to hear your story, right? It also can be super awkward sometimes if somebody says, just nice to meet you, I love your hair, and you right off the bat are saying, oh, I have alopecia, da 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 da, right?
Exactly. And how do they respond
ready
to that?
for that? They'll be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's knowing when can we share a story? When is an appropriate moment? Are they ready to receive our story? So that's something that I had to learn with time.
Same here.
So at what point do you know now who do you share your story with, or are you just practicing sharing with everyone? I would love to know.
I think I pick and choose. I mean, like you said, like I feel like there's just a time and a place for everything. Like I switch up my wigs a lot. And first I was always scared, how are people going to react, especially in the workplace?
Right.
Because like, how do you have a pixie cut on Tuesday, but then you have long hair on Friday? Like, how does that work, And I sometimes I'm just not in the mood to have to justify why I feel like wearing long hair. But for the most part, if somebody asks me like about my hair or a wig or something like that, I'm very open to sharing. I may not necessarily share about my alopecia, but I may just answer their question about the wig. Do you know what I mean? I'm perfectly fine with sharing with the hair loss community, like on Instagram, on my blog, that sort of thing. I just feel like there's a time and a place. And depending on what the question is and depending on the circumstances, is that will determine how far or how in depth I'm going to go about my hair loss. Because like you said, some people are not interested. Some people may not be ready. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
So, Crystal, would you go, if you could go back in time, because I know you've been living with us for many, many years, would you do something differently?
Oh my gosh. I think I probably wouldn't have wasted so much time having such pity parties for myself. I think that's probably the biggest lesson. Because I feel like I wasted so much time feeling sorry for myself, and it didn't do me any good. It just set me back and kept me in such a dark place. So I think for me, I wouldn't have wasted so much time being sad, being negative, being self-deprecating. But there's been a blessing in it, because if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be here talking to you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So sometimes you gotta go through that storm to see that rainbow, you know? So
I can so relate. So relate. I feel that my 20s, I was very limited because of my hair loss. So I changed my career because of my hair loss. I was not in really good relationships because of my hair loss. I didn't love myself, so I wasn't dating people that loved me or appreciated me. There were a lot of things that did not, I was not being 100% me, right? Like I was still hiding. I was not connecting with a lot of people. I was very, very lonely. And it wasn't until I want to say my 30s that I decided I'm done with that life. I'm done limiting myself. I'm done dating people that don't value me. And I wasn't when I started loving myself and putting myself first that my life shifted, right? And that's when I allowed myself the opportunity to start sharing with people about alopecia. And that sharing helped me heal all the things that I went through in my 20s. As I was sharing, I started realizing, wow, this is part of me and I can integrate this into my life and I don't have to be ashamed for it. The moment I started sharing, everybody was like, oh my God, I went through this too, and this and this. And when we share, we allowed other people the opportunity to be themselves too.
absolutely. And that's so true. I can't tell you how much time I feel like I just wasted being so closed and just feeling alone. And I didn't have to feel that way, because there's such a beautiful community out there, you know?
Yeah.
And you know what
I'm so blessed to have this community.
Absolutely. And you know what's so crazy is I actually don't even have a lot of pictures of myself from my 20s to 30s.
Yeah.
Like there's been times where I've wanted to do an Instagram post just showing my journey, and I realized I'm like, Crystal, you don't
deleted all the pictures.
share. Like there's really nothing to share, because I hated taking photos. Even though I took some, the smile wasn't authentic. I wasn't happy. My scalp was probably acting a fool. So who wants to take a picture?
Right.
I realized that there's like a huge gap of like 20 something years where I don't really have photos. And that says a lot. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
That is so funny you mentioned that, because I do know for a fact that there are years that I have no pictures of those years.
Yeah. I don't even
find them. If anybody does, you know, but I'm pretty sure that, because I didn't allow anybody to see me in photos or videos or anything. Yeah.
And I don't even have a lot of pictures of like the patches, the flare-ups, because that was the least that I wanted to do. I didn't want to document it. I didn't even want to look at it. You know what I mean? And I wish that I did have those moments and pictures to share, because I think it would offer hope to people, and it would also show them that, wow, this is what you've gone through. This is what your scalp looks like with the type of alopecia you have. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I wish I had something to share, but I don't. So I have to start now. And I think that's also very important. It's just
absolutely.
Yeah.
Crystal, so our time together is coming to an end, but I would love for you to leave us with, you know, what has been the best part of having alopecia for you, because I always like to highlight the good of this. And for me personally, the best thing is the community that we have right now. I feel so supported in the hair loss community. I feel that I will never ever be alone. So the thing that I enjoy the most of having alopecia is being able to be part of this community. What's your favorite thing?
I think my favorite thing is, number one, being a part of this community, and number two, being a part of a great organization like CANAF, where I can actually be now a voice. I can be an advocate for somebody who doesn't have that voice yet. You know, we're offering awareness and education, and I never would have thought that I would be now somebody cheering somebody else on. Do you know what I mean? That's what's important to me, and that's what's so incredible about being a part of this community, is just being a voice for not only myself but for other people.
Yes, yes. And thank you, Christal, for everything you're doing. Please continue doing what you do. I love everything you're doing with CANAF in your life. You know, you're just such a powerful woman, and you're inspiring a lot of people. So please, please, please keep going. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And I will see you on the next interview.
Okay, bye.